Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's live trading session and review of the week. So markets are extremely volatile. They're dangerous. They're very jumpy. They're moving around very, very quickly. They're very fast. So those are all the things that I usually associate with being quite negative about the market. So there is definitely a need to be careful. We're about 10 minutes away from the opening bell. There have been some statements from Donald Trump in relation to his policies and that they're not going to change, which I suppose when we're looking at a trade war and maybe tit for tat retaliations is not a good way to be. I think the market is looking for some way that there can be some negotiations around these tariffs, and the market, as you've seen today, is a lot weaker, has been weaker still. We've traded down towards that 39,000 level before recovering, and in the Dow we currently trade around 39,410. I do believe that we're going to see a technical rebound at some point. Not sure how strong it will be, but we're jumping around. In the minute or so that I've been speaking, we've gone from 39,400 to 39,450. The DAX is probably slightly less volatile, but volatile all the same. And then the currencies, we're trading, I think we traded at 132, or sterling traded at 132 on Wednesday. It's trading 130 now, and equally so, the euro is trading off and down to about 110.34. Euro's seen some strength this morning, some weakness also. Gold trades at 30.85. I've seen it at 30.20 in the last couple of hours. I've seen it down to 30.70. But that 30.70, if anybody views the podcast that I do with Jason Sen, there was one out that we had earlier in the week, and there is a very strong trend line on the daily charts coming in around that 30.70 level, and it has offered support. Yes, we did go below it once or twice. Yesterday, I think it was. Traded down to about 30.55, but unless it closes below that level, it's not going to have the impact on the daily chart. So big questions this afternoon about what we're going to do, where we think this market's going. To be honest with you, I was stopped out this morning. I did get back in with one or two trades. If they'd gone wrong, that would have been the end of my trading day, but I've managed to, with the last few trades, I've managed to push the account back into profit for the week. It's been a very volatile week, very up and down in terms of the swings that we've been seeing. I think from a P&L perspective, I've had really good days, really bad days, nothing really in between. So it's been one or the other. And some of the rallies that we've been seeing early in the afternoon sessions lately, but later in the afternoon sessions earlier in the week have been quite damaging. And have certainly damaged me once or twice during the week. My preference, as it stands at the moment, is to buy on a dip. I don't want to buy at this level for the time being until we see how this market opens. I'm a buyer if we push back anywhere down near 39,100 level, and I'm probably a seller between 39,650. And 700, possibly a little bit lower than that. It just depends where we go on this opening bell. Gold is now trading 30.83. It did go down to 30.70 recently. You'll see I bought gold at that level, just off of that trend line, purely on that basis and through the conversation I was having with Jason earlier in the week. And we pushed back higher from there, so I've already taken profit on that. And we're seeing some weakness again coming through back into the indices. So we're about 4.5 minutes or so away from the opening bell. So you can see some of these. This is a 1 minute chart. Even if I take this out to a 15-minute chart, you can see the aggressive selling off that we've seen since mid-morning. There were some decent trades early this morning. I was having a very good day around this sort of point, and then got caught up in this sell-off, stopped out fairly close to the bottom, and then have managed to make some profit on that climb back higher. So I'm going to try and hold on to that for the remainder of the afternoon. I do have a podcast to do around 4 o'clock with somebody in the US, so not looking to take too many trades. It will be one trade at a time, but I'll be looking to buy on those dips and hopefully dips back to these sort of levels. But if we look at this on a 1 hourly or maybe a 4 hourly chart, you can see the impact over the last week or so, and that sell-off that we've seen from up above 42,500 around those sort of levels. Tough to call as we go into the opening bell. I'll take this back down to a 1 minute chart so we can just see these entries as they're coming through. Nothing in particular that I'm looking at here other than maybe getting back down to these sort of levels and becoming a buyer. So I'll do 1 or 2 trades around the open, and then it will very much be just one trade at a time, and looking for some dips to buy into with the indices. So gold has come off $5 or $6 just since in the last 30 seconds to a minute since we've been talking, so it gives you the idea of that volatility. Again, gold traded up to 3,167 yesterday early in the morning Japanese time, and then we were trading down at 30.55 in the afternoon. So again, on that podcast with Jason, the targets that he set within there were bang on perfect. So I do encourage you to listen and subscribe to those podcasts that we're doing, and make sure that you get access to them, because Jason is calling the markets very well at this particular point. Very technical, not long term necessarily. They can be a little bit longer term, but very much with targets in mind, and possibly something you trade with a little bit more size. So we've got about 90 seconds or so to go to the opening bell. The Dow is picking up a little bit again. Don't forget, we're going to open up 700-800 points lower than we closed yesterday, based on the futures. Probably a little bit more in terms of where the cash is. We're probably 1,000 points lower. And then with gold, if we do see a lot of selling coming through, we could expect to see a bit of a pickup there. And as I've mentioned already, the key level for me is going to be that 30.70 line, which we're trading about $8-9 above at the moment. So the Dow's still picking up, back up at that 39,500 level. Seen an awful lot of spoofing today. There was an awful lot of spoofing yesterday. It really is just bullying the market around. People are nervous. It's not quite panic at this moment. It's definitely nervousness. We don't know where the US markets is going to go when we open. We don't know what Donald Trump is going to say. But as we're getting closer to this bell, it's continuing to trade around that 39,500 level. So let's just see when the time ticks over and where this market goes to. But still there. Got a few seconds to go till the opening bell. Every chance you're going to see some stops triggered. Might push me down to a level where I'll be interested in buying. But we've opened up there higher, so jumped up quite nicely, 610, 620, 650. Not quite getting to that 650 level that I was looking at. We're trading around 600 at the moment. It's just dipped back lower. Wasn't aggressive enough there. Could have got a sale off around 610 or 620. But for the time being, we're just hovering around that level. The DAX jumped up a little bit at the open as well. So just consolidating here with the Dow now. You often see that, and we've got to move back to the upside. I'm just going to take those crosshairs off. 625, 35. We're just going to sell there. I mean, it is jumpy. So you've got to get in a little, you can't be too price specific in terms of when you're trying to get into these trades at the moment, but that's moved down reasonably nicely. Jump back up there. Probably had the opportunity to take 25-30 pips profit out of that. I was just a bit slow opening my phone, so I'll be holding on to that for the time being. It's gone up there to 650. That was my target. Hopefully we come back off of those levels now, and we're pushing back down towards 625. So we're about the entry point at the moment. Gone a little bit lower, so I'm just going to close there, take profit on that, and then talk a little bit about the trades for the week. If we do go back up towards 650, 670, I'll probably get involved from the short side there, but we've gone all the way down now to 560, 570, so probably 60, 70 pips worth of profit on that trade now if you're still into it. So let's pull up the trades for this week. You can see the degree of volatility. It should be there. I don't know why it's not there. Maybe that's me. Oh, there we go. So I've got one trade to add in here, just that Dow trade that I added there. So I'll add that in a few minutes. I think that was about a 26 or 27 pip profit. You can see the stops throughout the week really. Monday got caught late with these 3 trades that stopped out. Exactly the same on Tuesday. 2 trades at the end of the day again caught me out, and had by these stages had built up quite handsome profits within the account. The really fantastic day was yesterday. It shows there these 3 trades should really be added in below here, which takes the profit for the day to about 1,000 pips. So that's absolutely outstanding. But again, got caught on a couple of trades here. So the size of the stops allowed to run far too much. But sometimes when you get caught up in this degree of volatility and you are seeing these huge swings coming into the market, you live in the hope or the belief that you're going to be able to turn that back around at the same time. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So the stops have been a lot wider than they should have been. Hopefully tighten those up a bit next week. But as we stand at the moment with that Dow trade closed, I'd say we're up about 485 pips for the week. If I was to give you an idea of where I think it should be, I think it should be closer to 2,000 pips, but those stops have really punished me when they've come in and they've hit. So I'm going to close that there. We'll see where we are. So we're back down 39,500 in the Dow, 2,800 in the DAX, and gold has pushed back towards that 30.70 level. Buying today is going to be a little bit like knife catching. We do have, it is a Friday, we've had decent numbers coming out of non-farm payroll. There is some speculation that the Fed may lower interest rates in order to give the market a bit of a boost and give help with stabilising some of the fear that exists in the market and in the economy at general at the moment. But I have to be honest, I think that's a little bit of wishful thinking at this stage, so not something that I'm necessarily going to buy heavily into at this particular point. So as I said, as I leave you here today, I'll probably, that 650 level is a level that I'm going to be interested in selling into, and the Dow is pushing back there that little bit higher at the moment. I do think gold is a buy if it dips below this 30.70 level. Will President Trump say anything else this afternoon? There's every chance, so you always want to be wary of that. I will only be trading one trade at a time. Got stopped out earlier today. Forced myself back into the market. I've managed to turn it around and shown a decent profit now. So I'm going to hold on to that. I'm not going to over risk this afternoon. Definitely not going to over trade. So we'll see how that goes through the remainder of the session, and I'll join you again on Telegram almost immediately after finishing this. Thank you very much for joining me. If you do get the opportunity, subscribe to the podcast I think some of the stuff that Jason's bringing out at the moment is fantastic, and hopefully we can build on that and move forward. As I'm leaving you here, gold has dropped off. Gold has dropped off, moving back to 3,063. The indices are looking weak again, and I'm probably gonna hold off on a buy of this gold until we hit the lows that we saw yesterday, which I think are around 30.58. But as I said, I'll be back on Telegram immediately and update you on any trades and any thoughts from there. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I will speak to you shortly.